Hello, Jimmy here, O'Reilly. So I've got down here to look at a Vauxhall Vivaro. Okay, so this has got engine failure hazard on the dash. It's got engine management light on there. So what this is doing is, you've got power, and then suddenly at say 3000 RPM it just goes flat, and when it goes to 3100 RPM the power comes back again. But that's just one of the symptoms. So basically the fault he's saying he's got is a DPF fault. He's brought it to a couple of places and they've basically said that the DPF was unable to be saved. It's unable to do a forced regeneration. Someone's tried to do a forced regen and they failed to do that, which was probably a good thing, because it's just safer to do a normal clean if it does need cleaning than the forced regen. Okay, so I've got the launch Euro tab 3. Now that's one thing I will mention as well. So this is a Vauxhall Vivaro, yeah. If you're not familiar, it is basically a Renault Trafic. It's just got a Vauxhall badge, but apart from that it is a Renault Trafic. So when I'm searching on my scan tool here, I'm gonna try and identify this as a Renault Trafic, not a Vauxhall, because we do sometimes get different fault codes up. Actually, what I might do is I'll show you the difference on this. So if we go in as an Opel is Vauxhall, GM, same thing. We'll see what fault codes we get as an Opel, and the main issue for me is, as an Opel, when I go in, it doesn't show me enough of the live data that I want to look at. Some of the parts are missing. So if I go in as a Renault, for instance, I can find the upstream pressure sensor, where you can't as a Vivaro. Health report, let's see what fault codes we have. And usually on a Vauxhall or Opel you'll get P fault codes, whereas on a Renault you'll get different sort of fault codes. So it doesn't look like it's even finding it, is it? So we need to just go in and choose what engine it's got there on the Opel side. So let's see, communication, I've probably picked the wrong engine. Right, let's just forget about this. Go back as a Renault, it's just a lot easier. Forget about this Opel software. Okay, now we're back here, we'll choose the Renault instead. Automatic search. Traffic and a high-speed scan. That's much better. Okay, so we've got a few different faults all over the place here. Invalid signals, oil level sensor, circuit, external temperature sensor, short circuit to earth. Oh, okay. Wing mirror sensor maybe. Windscreen. It seems like it's got a lot of different faults, which I'm not really going to believe some of these. Particle filter clogged, particle filter outside tolerances. Let's enter that. I'm trying to see where the external temperature sensor is. Sometimes it's on the radio on these, sometimes it's on the dashboard, but we haven't got anything there because we can't clear that engine failure hazard warning. Read data stream. Someone's tried to clean this and do force regen, so we might have to see now what's going on, if it's had any sort of success. Apparently it hasn't. And differential pressure. $50 millibars of pressure. HPA millibars is exactly the same reading. If it'll allow me to change. No. Okay, so we've got 62 grams of soot, which is very, very high. Now let's go back and I'll tell you what I'm going to do to try and get a reading on there. I'm going to hit clear of the faults on here. So let me just turn the engine off. Ignition on, and I'll hit clear. if we clear these faults, we should be able to go through the menu here now with these buttons and see if we can see if the outside temperature sensor is working. Oh yeah, there we go, 11 degrees. So it looks like it is working. Maybe it's we'll see if it comes back up. We'll take the van on a little bit of a run and see what faults come back. So we'll also see if we can see this flat spot that he's talking about. Put our foot down. It's got power, it's got power. Had a little bit of a pause there, but it sort of boosted back straight away. Just a, sort of like a millisecond of a power loss, and then it came back. Okay, so I've only taken it on 100 yards and back because I don't want to leave my van unattended. The customer's gone for a coffee, so there may not be any faults come back just yet. But we've got the faults there that we know, which is the block DPF. The only one I'm concerned about is the fault going to come back for the external temperature sensor. Got 12 degrees there on it. Just hold the revs up and down. We'll see if the fault comes back here while I'm stationary. Probably not. Might take 5 or 6 miles or 10 miles or so of a test drive to get that fault back. Just running through a fast scan there again, or a quick scan, high speed scan, whatever you call it. So none of the electrical faults have come back. So it's possible, of course, the other garage who was looking at this may have been disconnecting batteries, cables, wires. It's really hard for me to know, but from what I can see so far is the external temperature sensor is working, and I'm not sure what has triggered that off, but if it's working, I don't want to start repairing or replacing parts that are working. So it looks like we're just going to go ahead and do a DPF clean on this. Okay, so I've got these two items up on the live data stream here. Temp pressure upstream of the turbine. I can already see there, as I've let go the accelerator, that is taking a while to come down. So if you've seen my videos before, you probably know where this is going. We're going to give it a full acceleration, and we should see both of these lines in the same sort of pattern, or relatively the same. So if we combine them, we can see there that the pressure upstream of the turbine is not coming down at the same rate. So that indicates there's a blockage in the pipe there, which is going to need cleaning out, and that would be the cause of the DPF getting blocked. I'm going to assume that low battery voltage has triggered off the other dozen or so electrical faults, including the temperature sensor that's in the wing mirror. Well, I can definitely see the fault there with that. Okay, so if I show you some of the text here, I'm just using some tissue to cover the customer's number. Of course, I don't want to share his details. So this is what he was showed by a mechanic: 65 grams of soot. He sent me that in the particle filter, and this was a message that they got: particle filter is too loaded to do a forced regeneration, so it wouldn't allow him to do that. Of course, so again, as usual with most mechanics, and I don't make these videos to discredit anybody else, just making people aware of how you can do these fixes. Now, like most mechanics, I do see they have this same problem here. I tried to, they get someone in with a block DPF, and the first thing they want to do is let's force a regen, which is not the correct thing to do, because you're not fixing the problem. You're just how can I explain it? Let me think. So imagine you've got a nice shiny Lamborghini or something like that, and you've got all sorts of bird shit all over it, and then you take it to a car wash, have it valeted or have it detailed for, you have all this coatings and stuff that people can spend £400 or £500 on, and then you get it home and park it back underneath the trees, and then within 2 or 3 days you've got all the crap all over your car again, and you wonder what happened. So you need to cut the tree down first, or get a carport, then clean your engine or your car, and then it should be fine. So that's the same sort of story on this. So if we just do a forced regen on this, within a day or two the problem would come back, and if we clean the DPF and leave it at that, the problem would still come back. So we need to fix the cause, which is upstream pressure sensor. So we're going to get in and fix that. Now I'll tell you how common this fault is. I've got 3 of these exact vans to do today, and I've got at least another dozen of them to do within the week, so it is very common. I've done a lot of them over my time, which was really annoying. I had one of these vans come to me that I tried really hard to clean out the pipe, and I just could not have any success on it. But that was one out of many hundreds of these vans. I've never really failed before that, so we should have good success here cleaning this out with my method. So first there, just move that inlet pipe so I can get a little bit of better access down here. This is the sensor. I'm going to press and remove that out of the way, and we should have a little clip, a horseshoe clip, if someone hasn't chucked it away. Yeah, it's there. So just grab a little pliers there, pull that out. Now we should be able to move the pipe and just move it slightly up a little bit so we can get access to it. So I'm just going to press the clamp together, squeeze the clamp so we can release the sensor. So I'm just squeezing the clamp here with my fingers and get that off. Now we've got that there, we should be able to get into this. We can either remove the tube, but if you can, just get in with the tube on. Sometimes I can. So I've got two tools there ready. One is my pressure tester, a vacuum gauge, and I've got a drill with some cable on it. I've got this folded over just so it's got a little bit more strength to it, and we're going to test the pipe, and then we'll try and use the cable to break a hole through the carbon that is blocking it. This little small pipe down here gets blocked up with carbon, especially on the bends. Now if we connect up our gauge here and we start squeezing the trigger, usually you can go all the way up to 30 psi before it pops off like that. Too much pressure on it. So now we need to try and clean it out. Okay, now after 20 minutes or so of drilling, I've managed to get the cable all the way in, and you'll see a lot of black soot on the end of the cable there, so we should be broke through the pipe now. Now if we connect up our gauge, we can see we have no more pressure, but what we're going to do now, we can do 2 in 1 here with this now, with that tube. I'm going to run the engine because it's quite close to the manifold. I didn't explain that in some of my videos before. You can put a small amount of fluid in with the engine off, but if you fill it too much, it will come back into the cylinders and you will lock up your engine. To rectify that, if you do that, you'll have to remove the glow plugs or injectors and relieve the pressure, and then the van should be fine. But it's safer to do it with the engine running, so you're not going to get any into the cylinders. So I did have some customers copy one of my video, or viewers, would I say, copy one of my videos, but I didn't explain about not overfilling the engine with fluid while it's off. And I had a few people contact me saying, you know, I've tried to copy your procedure and I've put a litre of fluid in, now the van won't start. Do it with the engine running, it's safer. So if I inject some fluid down here, what that's also going to do now is clean out this pipe, which is going to help it not block up so quickly again. Even though we've drilled a hole through the carbon, there's still going to be a lot of carbon within the pipe, so if we flush it down, it's going to clean it better, and it'll also clean the DPF. Okay, so this is the kit I'm using. Sorry if there's wind, it is very windy these last few weeks, I don't know what's going on. But I've got the Launch UK kit, cleaning fluid and gun. Connect that up down here, and we just squeeze the trigger for a couple of seconds, and then we'll stop. Let us come off. I didn't push it in tight enough. We'll now start the engine up. Customer didn't tell me, but it looks like there's some sort of immobilizer on this, and I've just spotted that, so let's try. There we go. Okay, now to have the engine running on this, you either need to unplug the MAF sensor or connect this pipe back up. With the pipe disconnected, the engine won't run. Now we can again get some fluid squeezed in here. Just hold that trigger now until all of the fluid's gone. Okay, now we've removed the tube. Just going to give the engine a few revs. Push anything that's left inside the pipe, let it blow out. And the same thing again, we just squeeze the clamp together, push the sensor back in, and then we just move it back into place there. Get the little clip back on. Okay, now that's all done, we'll get back in, we'll graft this up again and let that just come over so you can see the lines. Now if we accelerate it up and down, we should see the same sort of graph. There we go. Much better. Now we'll come back and we'll search for a few different items. Now we'll get rid of the engine speed. Okay, so we've got a couple of items. Click now the soot and the differential pressure again. Oh, you can see there we've already down to 3 millibars of pressure. That's great. We'll hold the revs up now. The grams of soot have dropped down from, I don't remember, was it 50 odd? You see, just hold the revs up slightly now. See the grams of soot just disappearing there. So you got the soot there in the filter, which was at, I can't remember, was it 58? And then we had this, which was sitting at, I don't remember either, sorry. But we've got it in range now. If we hold the revs up around 3000 RPM, it's actually come down a little bit too low. We've only got sort of 17 millibars of pressure there. And if we let it idle, we've got a perfect 3 millibars of pressure. So we're just going to hold the revs now for a few minutes until this grams of soot comes down. Just going to hold it sort of 2000 RPM. You'll see there when we accelerate it now, you're going to see a lot of vapour coming out of the exhaust. So that's not smoke now, it's not smoke from the engine, it's vapour, because of obviously there's wet fluid in a hot exhaust. You're going to get vapour coming out. Now once all of that fluid's gone out and the engine's warmed up a little bit, the pressure within the DPF usually increases back up a little bit. So we'll hold this here for a couple of minutes and we'll see where we sit at the end. So you can see now that we're at 3000 RPM, we have 45 millibars, which is exactly where we'd like it to see, around that area. That's where you'd see basically a brand new DPF, that pressure would be exactly that. Once that grams of soot go under 6, we'll release the revs here and the customer can take the van away. Okay, so we have the grams of soot down there where we'd like to see them. Obviously that's going to keep decreasing as the customer drives, but we don't want to sit here for another 5 or 10 minutes just holding the revs. They're going to drop anyway now that the vehicle is running right. We'll take it on a little bit of a test drive, do a couple of miles up and down here, make sure that it seems okay. So if we have a look, these are some of the fault codes that we had. None of them have returned now. Of course we had the upstream pressure sensor and particle filter block codes, which were the main issues. Some of these were in the memory, external temperature sensors and stuff like that. They haven't returned, so now we'll just take it on a test drive. Now on the test drive, I can see if we put our foot down, the flat spot has gone in the turbo. So all of the power is back now, how it should be, nice and smooth. Okay, that's it, test drive's all done, everything looks good. Now we'll come back in and do another engine scan, or a full scan of the entire vehicle again. And do an automatic search. Again, we're going in as a Renault Trafic 3 and a high speed scan. Great, nice quick easy repair. So that's it, I'll see you in our next video.